Good morning. What a wonderful roll-up of women. I don't think I've seen so many people here at Cassis before, so now you know how wonderful Cassis is as well. I was overseas in Istanbul visiting my daughter Natasha, who's a news correspondent there, when Cheryl asked me to speak today. I've made many speeches before, but none where I've been asked to talk at least for 10 minutes about myself. So that is one of my most nerve-raising fears. So, I've never really dreamed of celebrities or recognition or awards, but I do look up to a few people. They are generally everyday people who have faced extraordinary odds. People like Rosie Batty, who despite facing dreadful tragedy, has made a difference to domestic violence. And also people who have been dealt life's most unimaginable and cruelest fate, the death of a child, yet still get up again, not only face the world, but make it a better place. Cheryl is one of these people, so I couldn't say no to Cheryl. So here I am, and I'm going to use notes today as a prop, because I haven't spoken in public for about 7 years, so you'll have to excuse my notes. We are here today to launch a scholarship for a South Burnett woman to begin tertiary education, and that's something I know a lot about. I was a young girl in the 70s and was fascinated with Germaine Greer and the women's movement. And sorry Elle, I'd already embraced one of her mantras by burning the bra. But for me, frankly, that was a much more practical than political statement. I knew very early in life I wanted to go to university and have a career. But I also had another yearning just as strong, and that was to be a mother. I wanted to be a high school teacher, but what could be more exciting than being the first teacher of your own children? I became a farmer's wife the year after I finished high school. I was the mother of 2 boys before my 20th birthday, and I enrolled in an external degree from the University of Queensland. Study 40 years ago was really different. There was no internet, no computers. Lecture notes arrived by post in booklets of hundreds and hundreds of pages. Books were borrowed from the university and posted back. Assignments were handwritten and posted to the university by the due date. I never met or spoke to a lecturer the entire time I studied at UQ. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't even talk to anyone or know anyone else studying the same course. It's only in retrospect, now today I have a laptop, an iPad, iPhone, webinars, emails. I realised that studying in the 70s and 80s was a hard slog. I vividly remember being in hospital when my second son, Shannon, was born, and I had lecture notes all over my bed. It was November and end of semester exams were in 2 weeks. Hospital staff thought that was extraordinary. A newborn baby, lecture notes, and apologies to Germaine Greer, now I really did need that bra. So by the time I was 25, I had 4 children, and with my first degree almost finished, I enrolled in an external degree in education. Only 2 universities in Australia offered that at that time, and the closest was New England University in Armidale. I went to Armidale for 3-week blocks at a time, and I did prac teaching a long way from home. This was the 80s. How would my husband cope with 4 children, aged 1 to 8, on his own? Women were doing that every day, but it wasn't common for the men. I studied at night after the children went to bed and in the afternoon while they napped. Nap time was non-negotiable. With 4 children, I was used to a bit of chatter. One afternoon I suddenly realised there was dead silence. That meant panic. What was Liam up to? I opened the door and saw he'd decided it was a good idea to use his craft scissors to carefully cut out all the cartoon characters in his curtains, which he proudly presented to me. So that's just one of the trials of being a mum and studying and trying to find some time, whatever else you might be doing. To study externally requires sacrifice. Being a mum taught me more about time management, prioritising, and how children think than any degree. I remember worrying that I would be very old when I finished. I'd be nearly 30. What an old teacher I would be. My first advice to anyone studying is don't let that put you off. It's hard to picture something 6, 8, maybe 10 years in the future, but if you have the end in sight, make a start and you will reach that goal. Take that first step. I began full-time teaching in Kingaroy, and I see some people I was teaching with back then around the room. And after many enjoyable years, I took up a head of department job in Mergen. During this time, I was dealt the biggest challenge of my life, and one that has transformed the way I now think and approach life. I remember exactly where I was. I was 39, sitting in the staff room, when I felt the most extraordinary bolt of pain in my face. Over the next few months, I began experiencing electric shocks that would shake me to my core. Over the next few months, it got worse. It felt like a hot knife cutting into my face with hot coals burning into the skin. There were triggers for this pain. They were simple, like a little breeze, touching my face, brushing my teeth, drinking, eating, a hair falling across my face, a kiss. Even talking was enough to trigger agony across my entire face. Something significant was wrong. I needed to get a diagnosis, do what had to be done, and get on with the life I had planned. The diagnosis came quickly. I had no idea there was a hideous disease that brought with it debilitating symptoms and unimaginable pain, and you couldn't die. I had trigeminal neuralgia, a rare chronic disease affecting maybe 1 in 15,000 people. The trigeminal nerve starts at the back of your head in the brain. It's in the brain stem that connects the brain to the spinal cord. It has 3 branches across your face, and the nerve is responsible for senses, pressure, temperature and pain. It is thought that the trigeminal nerve is compressed by a blood vessel or artery, and that's what causes the pain. It's impossible for me to describe the intensity of the pain, so I'll quote from a few medical sites. TN, the world's worst pain. Horrifying diseases you don't want to catch. The most excruciating pain known to man. We think of pain as a symptom, but there are cases where the pain is the hideous disease itself. The Trigeminal Neuralgia Association says it is regarded as the most painful condition that is known in the medical world. And that's why it's often referred to as suicide disease. Many sufferers take their own lives. Probably because it's so rare, there is no drug specifically targeted to trigeminal neuralgia. So neurologists prescribe a variety of drugs. For me, none of them worked.